Hey everybody, happy Monday. And I wanted to hop on live today and talk about spiritual bypassing. If something's coming up over and over and over again, and Grayson, who is the guides that I channel, is kind of pushing me and nudging me to speak up about it, then I do. So it's come up several times, and I wanted to give everybody a chance to hear about the spiritual bypassing and how it affects your health, how it affects your well-being, and what happens energetically and spiritually when we're doing this spiritual bypassing. So I want to give you an example of something that's come up in my life recently and looking at it, and it happens a lot. And so especially in the spiritual community and the metaphysical world. And so people with what is spiritual bypassing? Well, for those of you that don't know me, first off, let me tell you that I am an intuitive and a life coach and a healing mentor and spiritual teacher. And so I look at helping people and women unpack all of these physical, mental, emotional, spiritual aspects that are getting stuck as the issues in our tissues and that are creating imbalances, energetic, the stress symptoms, right? And so this is a big one, energetically, where we're holding on to things and we don't realize that it's long term creating a problem for our health. So spiritual bypassing is when we pretend that something isn't happening, or we pretend that something isn't real or isn't affecting us, and we like glaze over it with something. It could be an addiction. It could just be like, oh, let that shit go, but it's still bothering us. And so the experience that I had in my life that I've been continuing to unpack for the last couple of weeks. I was at every Saturday I go to with a friend. We run at one of the local parks here. Then we go to the farmers market. We go out to breakfast, and it's our routine. She's one of my besties. So the last several weeks, we've parked in the exact same place. And, being full disclosure and being honest with myself, yeah, I was taking up part of not a crosswalk, but like the tail end of the sidewalk. And so this last week, there was this incident with this family, this guy and his stroller and his kids and his wife and stuff. And, it didn't become an incident. We had parked there every single week for the last like 3-4 weeks. It didn't become an incident until there was a family and some kids there with the stroller. And so my friend, of course, I know the place where she's coming from. She's thinking about her kids and her grandkids and that whole aspect, but it wasn't an issue until this week. So what ended up happening is there was a conflict with this guy and this family. And so I moved my car. But the issue was that after I did that, this guy, now I know also I look at everything from in terms of Ayurveda, and I look in terms of, is this person Vata, Pitta, or Kapha? Well, the Pitta types, we're in Pitta season, and it's, heat and fire and things like that. This person, even after the incident was over, this gentleman with his wife and kids, like he kept rubbernecking. He could not wait to like catch up to us, for us to get up close to him. He had crossed the street and moved on and was like a block up ahead of us, but I could see he kept rubbernecking and he kept wanting to turn around or wanting to us catch up with him so that he could tell me what a horrible person I was and what I had done wrong. And so for me, I am a person who spent many, many, many years buried in deep shame from my childhood and from my parents. And so having broken free of that, or allowed all of that shame to come up so that it could be healed and I don't need it reflected to me any longer in my life, here's this gentleman who is just waiting to shame me for my behavior. And like, this wasn't social crisis. This wasn't a huge, horrible thing. It was like he had to move his stroller 6 inches, off to the side. Pick your battles, right? But so I could see, I'm an empath, right? I can feel his energy from half a block away. And I'm trying not to have this confrontation, like to just let it all go. And so I went one direction when we got up close, and my friend went the other direction. Now she was annoyed, she was angry with my behavior. So she walked one way and I could see this gentleman, and I went the other direction. I went down to the left side. Well, don't you know that this fella shamed her and berated her and said, you were so inconsiderate and blah, blah, blah. And she wasn't even driving. I was the person that was driving. So now she's getting berated and criticized for her behavior. So fast forward, that afternoon and that morning, she, I can feel the energy, right? So she's like walking really fast ahead of me so we can move our parking space, and all of this energy and stuff's going on, and it's being bypassed. And there's this idea of, oh, just let it go, right? It's very zen and just let it go. But the thing of it is, she was holding that energy. So for the rest of our morning, the rest of our time together, she was bypassing. She was not courageous. She couldn't say to me, I just have to say that this really bothered me. And so she's holding it, and being like this passive aggressive behavior. So not is it only affecting her energy, it's affecting my energy, right? Because it's that energy is bouncing off of us. So fast forward an entire week, every Saturday we go. So we go this week, and I can still feel that she's holding some of this agitation and anger towards me from the week before. I can feel that everything is different. Not on a huge level, but under the surface. So we had our day, we did our thing, and I got home and it was really getting to me. It was like, this sucks. And the passive aggressive behavior, like, I felt helpless to change the situation. So I'm holding the energy, she's holding the energy. So I called her up and I said, listen, I need to know, I wanted to ask you a question. Have you, did something happen? Did I do something that has changed the dynamic between us and our friendship? Like, is there something that I've done to hurt you or offend you or whatever? Because I can tell in the last couple of weeks, things feel different to me. And she started out kind of going, no, no, not really. No, it's just, and that was it. And then all of a sudden, because I had the courage to ask and to say something in a non-threatening way, and to have her concerns at heart, I looked and she said, well, as a matter of fact, she goes, I guess there is that something kind of bothering me. And she brought up this situation from last week at the farmer's market with this guy. And she said, and she stated her opinion. And I don't agree with her opinion. Like, I felt that this whole situation was made into a much bigger deal than it really truly was. And this guy was just like wanting to, like a road rage person. He wasn't that bad, but he was wanting to create uh this control in this situation, and I'm not having it. I'm just not having people putting shame on me anymore. It wasn't that big a deal, and I didn't need him to continue to go on about it. So she was holding all this energy, she was feeling all this stuff, and she brought it up, and I said, okay. And I heard what she had to say, and I knew that there was nothing that I could say. Well, then she brought up a couple of other things that she felt, that there was a situation one day with this woman with her dog. I am of the belief that if you take your dogs out in public to a farmer's market, you should have control of your dog. I don't think that it's the place to, and I'm an animal lover, I'm a dog lover, and I have cats and I love animals, but I don't think it's the place to let your animals get in the way of other people's enjoyment. So she was upset about that. She was upset that I was annoyed. What's my point to all of this, and what does this have to do with spiritual bypassing? This shit happens every day, all day long. We're all a part of it. We're all in it. We're all interacting, and we're all kind of up in our stuff about, my way or the highway. And, if people don't do this and don't do that, just drop them as friends. Well, I don't want to drop her as a friend. But here is this bypassing in this situation where she's been holding this in for a week, a couple of weeks. And what she said to me was, well, I guess it is still bothering me. I guess if you're picking up on something, well, I feel it all the time. I guess if you're picking up on something, it would be that. And I said, well, yeah, I am picking up on it. And, you know, you held that in for all of this time. She said, well, I thought I should just, let it go. She thought she should let it go, but she hadn't let it go. That's spiritual bypassing. What does it do? Like, it's affecting her heart. It's affecting her energy. She's creating judgments. I'm creating judgments. I can feel the energy. So we're doing this and we're bouncing off of each other. What happens? We start, it's in our head, right? Every time she sees me or there's a situation, she's playing it back. She's ruminating. She's drawing attention. She's got some anger. She's got some judgment. That's being thrown at me. That's being reflected and sent out to me. And we're empaths, we feel it. So, part of our job as people who are sensitive is to have the courage to not bypass, to stop the bypassing, to have the courage to actually speak up and address the things that need to be addressed. She ended up thanking me. She said, thanks for bringing it up because I guess I was, holding on to this. I guess I was feeling this. And when we don't have the courage, because we are people, we are people. I don't know, you listening, you may or may not be, but I know that I see and encounter a lot of people in my work as a coach and a mentor for healing and spiritual growth and teaching. We're holding these issues in our tissues. We're holding all of this crap and this, resentment and anger and feelings. And number one, it keeps ruminating in our heads. If we have 100 circuits to run our body and 75 of them are up here, what's down here? Well, no wonder we have, head and neck and stress and tension. Stress is our mental, emotional responses to our life events. So the bypassing part of this is, oh, I should just let it go. She didn't let it go. You can think in your mind you should just let it go, but you're still holding on to it. Where are you holding on to that? Somewhere that is an emotion and a feeling in your body. Now take that with, spouses, with family, with all of these people that we encounter in the course of the day. It's no wonder everyone's sick. No one's having the courage to open their mouths and to speak up and to say something. And this is what's creating stress. It's what's creating illness. That anger goes into the liver. We'll take that in, multiple fold over. If we're holding things that have come through since we were kids, we're holding on the judgments that were programmed into us when we were kids about being unworthy, about not being good enough. And I see a lot of people that don't end up choosing to unpack this stuff, to do the work, to heal themselves because they're so afraid. And I get that. I was there, man. I lived in shame for years and years and years. And it will kill you. It will ruin your life. And it absolutely will make you sick. It absolutely will be the issues in the tissues that you haven't let go of and that your psyche and your mind keeps ruminating, playing over and over and over. So choose courage. Find the courage within yourself to have those conversations, to open up at least a conversation so that number one, you're not getting the shit that somebody's holding like reflected at you. I have a business partner that, again, this has been her thing. She hasn't spoken up. She doesn't speak up. And it's like, I feel all that. We feel all that as light workers and empaths and healers and people who are sensitive. We have to build the courage. It's what we came here to do. We did not come here to live in the past. We did not come here to live in our heads. We came here to create change. And we've got to bring this courage. If you don't know how to do that, please reach out to me. Courage is one of the 5 C's of sparking true healing. It's one of the 5 C's that I teach all of the dynamics and the pieces of how to develop this inner, a soul with stamina, to build this courage to be able to, without confrontation, without drama, be able to actually speak up and say the things that need to be said so that you can have relationships, you can have friendships, you can move through this stuff for yourself and with other people. Okay. um, it's part of what we do in the blueprint. It's part of the body freedom blueprint. This is the issues that are in the tissues. When we don't have the courage, we're also creating illness for ourselves. We're creating this dynamic that just continues to spin and doesn't go anywhere. It's a continuous loop. And what do? Oh, I wish I had said something. Oh, I wish I could heal this. The bypassing, spiritual bypassing, that whole idea of just letting go, I'll just let it go. Really check in with yourself. Give yourself this tool and this opportunity when, something gets under your skin and your crow and you're looking at things of, am I bypassing? Like, how long am I holding on to this? There's this Buddhist little story about the two Buddhists who are walking, I don't know, out in the wilderness. Issues in the tissues. Yeah, Kimberly, absolutely. It's the truth. Like, and this is the whole idea of spiritual bypassing. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Oh, la, 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 it's just okay to be, I'll just let it go. But really check in and see, like, have I let it go? Or is this continuing to, like, how many days, how many times am I going to continue to bring this up for myself and my friend? It's going on 2 weeks, right? And I had to say something finally. I don't see her all the time, but when I finally saw her, I was like, I feel this energy. I feel what's going on. Something needs to be said. So the Buddhist story is about they're walking down this road, like from one town to another, and it's pouring rain, and there's a woman on the side of the road and something or other she can't get across. I'm not going to tell it right, but she can't get across. There's just these huge puddles. And so this one monk like lifts this woman up and carries her across the road. And they go on down, continue on their journey. Well, when they finally get to the temple and get to where they're going, the one monk says to the other one, what are you doing? We're not supposed to touch women. You touched that woman, you picked her up, da 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 da. And he says back to her, he says, oh, you're still carrying her? I put her down miles back, right? So really check in. And this is one of the things that we have to unpack. We have to have the courage to be able to say, is this still in me? Where is it? And how do I learn how to be a person who has the courage to speak without being threatening, to have conversations? And I know it's rare. We're holding too much of this energy and this stress in our physical bodies because we think it's just easier and it is easier to just let it go. Just pretend that we're letting it go, but we're not letting it go. That person's projecting it out. I'm sitting there absorbing it, feeling it, wondering, like, how do I fix this? What's going on? I don't know what's going on. So it's having the courage to actually say something. So I wanted to just bring that up. I'm going to be doing more talks about spiritual bypassing, how this affects our health, because we're holding that energy. It's constricting in us somewhere. The liver is the organ that holds the anger. And it could reflect in pain in our feet, in our legs, in our knee, in our hip, right? It's having a leg to stand on, being able to speak up. It's not always just about the throat, right? Throat chakra, but you might find that your big toe hurts because that's the meridian for the liver channel of moving forward, in your feet, in your speaking. So if you are someone who wants to go deeper, who wants to learn how to be able to speak and stand in your energy and your truth and not let this idea of bypassing affect you, please join the Healed and Unlimited group. That is a place, it's here on Facebook, that you can ask questions, that you can learn, that you can get advice, you can get type your questions in and get information about how to heal emotions, things like that. One of the things that we cover in the Body Freedom Blueprint, the 5 C's, which is a group coaching program that I have. It's up on the website at marthablessing.com. One of the things that we do there is we really learn, I teach you how to move through building this soul with stamina to develop the courage. So thanks for listening, and I will see you guys live stream here on Wednesday morning. It's going to be a really good one. Take care. See you soon.